It's the end of another busy week of transfer rumours, and loads of new ones have hit the internet. Some of the names on here you might well have seen me talk about before, but not necessarily the clubs, i.e. Nico Williams to Madrid, Liam Delap and Gittens to Newcastle, Wirtz to Liverpool, Rodgers to Chelsea, Emi Martinez to United. What the hell is going on? Let's talk about it. Let's start with Enzo Fernandez to Real Madrid. There's quite a few Real Madrid rumours we're going to cover today, but this one really stands off the page, doesn't it? At 24 years old, I think there have been question marks about his place in the side at times this year, but he's overall impressed when he's been on the pitch in advanced areas. Actually, I think he looks quite dangerous. A surprising number of goal involvements for the Argentinian this season. To put up 13 goals and assists in the Premier League alone from his role in midfield is really quite impressive. His shot creating action numbers are super high, as you would expect with Enzo Fernandez. His passing accuracy is excellent. His progressive pass numbers are superb. He sits 5th in the list of European central midfielders for progressive passes per 90 amongst his age group. So he's incredibly impressive on the ball. He's added goals to his game this season. I would be incredibly surprised to see Chelsea sell him. I understand there is an argument that Caicedo and Lavia might well be the better balanced midfield too, but with Caicedo operating as a right back and inverting, it allows Enzo to play in there as well. I don't think Chelsea want to sell. I think the fee would be absolutely prohibitive to any move Real Madrid want to make. 120 million euros I've seen reported is not going to happen if you're Real Madrid. But let's look at it quickly from Real Madrid's perspective. Could he be the Toni Kroos personality profile they are missing in that midfield since Toni left? It feels like they are kind of missing a player that wants to get on the ball, dictate with his passing ability. I like the idea of Enzo Fernandez at Real Madrid. He's spoken about on international duty, loving Madrid, wanting to play for Madrid, the classic Argentinian style interview. I just don't see it happening. I think it's unrealistic that Chelsea allow a player that is captain of the club most of the time to exit this summer unless the fee is 120 million euros, which Real Madrid aren't going to pay. Could they move for Alvaro Carreras, though, the former Manchester United wing-back who only joined Benfica last summer? Interestingly, Man United do have the return clause at 18 million euros. They could go back in and take him. I don't think that's going to happen. It feels like this one is really quite advanced. 50 million euro release clause, but 40 to 50% of that fee is then due to Manchester United. So whatever the numbers, and let's leave that to the accountants, let's talk about the fit. It's really interesting. Anybody who watched him up against Lamine Yamal, for instance, in the Champions League will have been really impressed by his physicality. I think he is quite rangy with his strides. His progressive pass numbers are excellent. If you look at him versus other Liga NOS fullbacks, got the stats here. He's got the most touches, most progressive actions, the most passes, forward passes, accurate passes. I think he's 4th in the list of Jaws 1 percentage. So I think the idea of Carreras with the underlying numbers, the data we've got on him as a wing-back in a Xabi Alonso system, after what we saw him do with Grimaldo and Frimpong, must be super exciting if you're Alvaro. It's a big amount of money for Manchester United to get as well. It's a big amount of money for Benfica to get. It feels like all around, this is a big win-win. Let's remain on the Real Madrid train whilst we're in this thought process and talk about Ibu Konate. He's got 1 year left on his contract. It doesn't feel like a contract is on the verge of being signed. I haven't seen those reports. I've seen more reports leaning him towards the exit door, which would be a real shame for Liverpool because he's had an amazing season. 29 starts this campaign. He's felt much more consistent with his fitness, and his partnership with Virgil van Dijk has probably been the second best in the league. I think Saliba and Gabriel, for me, as a duo, complement each other so well, and that's the reason they put up the best defensive record in the league. But Virgil van Dijk being the best centre-back in Europe, having a partner like Konate works really well. I like Konate's physicality. He's excellent on the ball, really good at channel coverage when Trent progresses forward. Konate's physicality bails the team out quite a lot in that right-back slot. I think he's a remarkably good centre-back. He was a contender for the Premier League Team of the Year. If Real Madrid can get this deal done for a reasonable fee, bearing in mind they are going to be playing a back three and it looks like they're short on centre-backs. Alaba is constantly injured. Militao is constantly injured. Rudiger has had injury problems himself. Howson's arrived. But if they could get Konate as well, that would blow me away. I think this would be an elite signing for Real Madrid if they could pick him up. How about Luis Diaz to Barcelona? This is really picked up in momentum. 70 million euro fees being talked about. I think that would be a big win for Liverpool, if I'm honest. I like Luis Diaz, and he's contributed a large volume of goals this season. 13 goals, 5 assists cannot be sniffed at. But consistency has been a problem for him over the last few years. He's an amazingly talented player. He's amazing with his off-the-ball work. Nobody can deny that. And I think as a dribbler in tight spaces, you look at his progressive carry numbers, his dribble percentage, his take-on percentage. He is really good in tight spaces. There have been question marks over his finishing in big moments. But I think overall for me, the question marks that immediately spring to mind, where does he play in this Barcelona team? Is he being seen here as a false nine to compete with Lewandowski? Because at 70 million euros with Barca's financial situation, he has to be a starter. And he's not a starter over Rafinha or Yamal on the wings. Rafinha is coming off the back of his best ever season. Yamal is the best player in the world, in my opinion. I know we can say statistically Rafinha has had the better season, but as a flat-out player, I think Yamal is something I've never seen before. I'm actually going to put this in there. I just don't get it. What do you guys at home think? Barca fans, please do let me know. What is it about Diaz that is so obsessive for Barcelona? Do you guys want him? And where does he fit? Let's talk about Florian Wirtz then, because Manchester City dropped out of the running this week, and that has kind of left a clear battlefield beginning to form between Bayern Munich and Liverpool. Bayern Munich, for me, still feel like the favourites. That's the reports we're getting. He kind of favours Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich are ahead in the pecking order. But Liverpool are slowly growing into this battle, aren't they? This is a player who, a few weeks ago, we weren't even having conversations about Arne Slot's side being interested. Now they've met with the family, they've had permission from Bayer Leverkusen, they've impressed Florian Wirtz, they've impressed his father and family. So overall, it feels like they are banging this. And what a statement of intent it would be. He would be upwards of £100 million, you would think, getting close to a British record transfer fee, getting close to that Moises Caicedo, £115 million, if you believe some reports. And Liverpool would be signing the best young number 10 in world football, alongside maybe Musiala and Jude Bellingham. They've missed out on some of the best young talents in recent years. You think Moises Caicedo, Romeo Lavia, Zubimendi most recently, Jude Bellingham. But to get Florian Wirtz would blow all of them out of the water, arguably. Because this is a player who has bounced back from ACLs. He's put up 44 domestic league goal involvements up across the last 2 seasons. His dribble numbers are off the scale. His creativity is off the scale. Whatever side he joins, he is going to improve tenfold. How does he fit at Liverpool, though? Does he play in the number 10 over Dominic Szoboszlai? Or does he play maybe off the left a little bit more, inverting inside, allowing somebody like Cherki to overlap? However you look at this, if Liverpool can get this deal done, it will blow me away. It would be a clear elite move. It would be one of the statement signings of the last 5 or 6 years for any club, and it would be a massive win for the Premier League, who have experienced a little bit of a star drain. If they can convince Florian Wirtz to join Liverpool, it would be a huge marker of dominance for this Arne Slot side. How about Morgan Rogers to Chelsea? He's still just 22 years old. It feels like it fits the Chelsea brand of signings under Todd Boehly, where they've really targeted some of the best young players in world football, and there's no doubt Morgan Rogers is up there amongst the Premier League's best young players this season. He's a legitimate contender for the award. Even on a Champions League stage, you look at his goal involvement numbers, his dribble numbers, really, really impressive. I think at the group stages, no young player completed more dribbles than Morgan Rogers in the Champions League. In big competitions, on big stages, he's proven he can do it. In the Premier League, consistently over the course of a 38-game season, he's proven he can do it. We are talking about a totally elite level talent. But at what price would Aston Villa do a deal with Chelsea, who are a Champions League rival at this stage? He's under a really long contract. They've got other players within the squad who could be potentially moved on for PSR issues. Morgan Rogers would be one of the least sellable options for me if I was Aston Villa's owners. I'd be saying I want to build projects around him. This, I'm putting in unrealistic. Whilst we're on the topic of Chelsea, let's talk about Joao Pedro, linked by Fabrizio Romano this week. It feels like he's available this summer to leave Brighton. He's had the big falling out with Jean-Paul Van Heck in training. That's probably been resolved, but there's also reports he could leave for 70 million euros. He's bagged 10 Premier League goals this season. Last year, I think he got 20 goals in all competitions for Brighton. High volume of these have been penalties. 5 of his 10 this season have been penalties. 5 of his 9 last season were penalties in the Premier League. So overall, an elite penalty taker, but I think really, really high-level young talent as well. He's still only 23 years old, very good at dribbling in tight spaces, excellent first touch, really athletic. He's quite wild and reckless. It feels like he's on the verge of being sent off quite consistently with wild elbows. He's quite late into tackles at times. He has a bit of that South American bulldog about him. But I do really like Joao Pedro, an excellent player. I'm not totally convinced, though, about the fit to Chelsea. Joao Pedro, whilst being an excellent player, I think does a lot of his best work as a second striker. If you look at his shot totals, they're in the bottom 10% of European forwards. His XG is in the bottom 20%. He wants to work off of a number 9, which I'm not totally sure Chelsea need this summer. I think they need an out-and-out 9, maybe a winger as well. And if you look at the way Maresca has this system lined up, I don't totally see where Joao Pedro fits. I'm going to put it in okay if the fee was good, but I don't quite see it with Maresca and Pedro. Could Ekitike be the answer? He's again been linked this week to Chelsea for the first time. I haven't seen that happen over the past month or so. This week it seems to have picked up a bit of pace. He certainly fits the burly options that I was talking about with Morgan Rogers of being under the age of 23, really elite level talent. His numbers this season in the Bundesliga at Frankfurt have been ridiculous. His XG, his shots, his actual goal involvement numbers have been really breakthrough for him after that failed move to PSG. He's kind of refound the best of himself because his talent level in France was sky high. There's a reason PSG picked him up. Now at Frankfurt, he looks like one of the best young number 9s in world football. And that's probably the reason that Chelsea are interested. But again, Frankfurt run people up on fees. 100 million euros is being reported here. There's no doubt if Ekitike joined Chelsea, a lot of people would have to stand up and take notice. He would be definite competition for the starting spot alongside Nicholas Jackson, which I think would be a good thing for Jackson as well, to have somebody compete with him for that number 9 role. Yeah, it'd be a good move, but the fee would have to be right here. Let's talk about Franco Mastantuono to PSG. Now, Franco is being linked to everyone. This is one of the hottest talents in South American football right now. He's still so young, but his goal scoring numbers, his shot creating numbers, all of the underlying data around him kind of suggests we are looking at a potential superstar. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and say I've watched reels of the Argentinian league this season and seen Franco at his absolute best. Obviously, I've done the same as a lot of people. I've seen him on Y-Scout. I've seen a lot of the videos surrounding him, read a lot of reports about him. Seems very exciting. And PSG have the spending power to get these deals done like they're nothing, really. 40 million, I think, is his clause at River. That's going to get triggered this summer by somebody. Will it be Barca? Will it be Real? Will it be a Premier League side? I could see it being PSG. It feels like they have changed their tact of signing established superstars to signing some of the best young talent in world football, like a lot of teams, taking the likes of Desiree Doué, for instance, or Vitinha, or Joao Neves. I think Franco could well be the next guy up. It would make a lot of sense from a stylistic point of view to add somebody slightly more attacking into that midfield area, especially if they're going to lose the likes of Asensio this summer. I'm going to put it in good move. It might well end up being elite one day, though, mightn't it? Emi Martinez to Manchester United is up next. Before we talk about this transfer, how bad of a week have United had? Oh my God. Oh my God. Honestly, if I speak, I am in big trouble. I prefer not to speak. So instead, let's talk about Emi Martinez, because these rumours have picked up a bit of pace. We saw him crying after the final whistle of what could be his last appearance at Villa Park. There's heavy links between him and Saudi Arabia, heavy links between him and Atletico Madrid, and recently rumours of a £40 million move to Manchester United. Let's focus on this from a practical point of view. Emi Martinez is 32 years old now. Aston Villa reportedly want to look at a new goalkeeper. He has made some pretty high-profile errors, but from Aston Villa's point of view, selling to Manchester United isn't even really selling to a rival right now. United aren't in the Champions League, aren't in Europe. I don't expect them to compete for European football next season as things stand. So it would potentially be a smart bit of business if they found a buyer who can pay a significant amount of money for a player who is 32 years old now. From Manchester United's perspective, I think money might be a bit of an issue here. The budget is going to be really tight after not winning that Europa League. I can imagine Emi Martinez wanting pretty large wages. The fee reported at £40 million is very, very hefty. But I do think he would add valuable leadership and experience in the dressing room that Man United are crying out for. I think he would be an upgrade in goal despite those high-profile errors. Overall, as a goalkeeper, I still think he is one of the best in the league. And I don't think his age is particularly prohibitive. At 32 years old, it's not a write-off. Man United didn't sign Edwin van der Sar until he was 34. And that was a huge short-term and long-term success for the club. I think if Manchester United could get him, then it would actually be a good move. But again, the fee for a club who are going to have little to no money to spend this summer means that I just don't see it happening. Could Emi Martinez's replacement be Joao Garcia? We've spoken about him quite a lot in recent weeks, being heavily linked to the likes of Real Madrid, Manchester City, some of Europe's elite clubs, to be honest with you. And for my money, he has been the best goalkeeper in La Liga this year. He's not only an excellent shot stopper that's really good with his feet, but he's a really good age. Young for a goalkeeper who is putting up the post-shot expected goals numbers he is, and the save percentage that he is. But he also has this release clause. €30 million release clause must be extremely attractive to a club like Aston Villa. And for him, I feel like Aston Villa is a really good club, especially leaving Espanyol rather than jumping straight to a super side like a Real Madrid where the pressure is eye-watering. Aston Villa are going to be competing at least in Europe, maybe in the Champions League. He's going to be playing under one of the best coaches in Europe in Unai Emery, in front of a great fan base, commanding decent wages because Aston Villa are up there in the Premier League. They'll be able to spend. I think this is an elite move, honestly. I think this would be amazing. What about Jamie Vardy's future then? And the links this week to Crystal Palace. This is the most random one we've had on this list. Goodness me, what on earth is happening? 500 games, 200 goals for Leicester. Could he join the Eagles, who have just won the FA Cup? Potentially they're looking for depth going into Europe next season. It was surprising to me when I saw that he put up 13 Premier League goal involvements this year, including 9 Premier League goals. Now, a few of them have been pens, but maybe he could add valuable experience to this Palace side. I don't think so, though. I'm going to say no. I think Palace are moving in a different direction than a player like Jamie Vardy. Jean-Philippe Mateta and Eddie Nketiah are fine as the front two options. Jamie Vardy, I don't see him playing European football next season. Could James McAtee be the Florian Wirtz replacement at Bayer Leverkusen? This rumour has been bubbling away in January, but it's resurfaced. It's new again this week. I think this would be a really good move, not just for the player who's had nowhere near enough game time. Nowhere near enough game time. I mean, not to be included in the squad of the FA Cup final alongside Rico Lewis and Echeverri coming on in attacking midfield areas must surely have been the final nail in the coffin here. He is going to leave this summer. And whoever gets him is getting a really exciting young talent. I love the idea of him going to the Bundesliga. We've seen English talent thrive over there. Leverkusen, if they can get the right coach, could be a great fit for James McAtee, competing at the top end of the Bundesliga, playing plenty of game time, playing in the Champions League. Yes, I like this fit a lot. Another new rumour we've seen is Darwin Nunez to Napoli. He's clearly going to leave the club this summer. I don't think Arne Slot fancies him. 8 starts in the Premier League this year. The numbers in terms of goals and even his XG and shots, which were once sky high, have really fallen back. Incredible high-profile missed chances this season. Again, I don't think you'll ever escape that with Darwin Nunez. The links originally were talking about Atletico Madrid being in for Darwin, but I kind of like the idea of him going to Naples and looking to thrive in an Antonio Conte system. He would certainly add a lot of pace and power to the front line alongside a player like Romelu Lukaku. Osman is obviously going to leave, so there is going to be a space in the squad in forward areas, despite the fact he's been on loan this season. You'd think they want a permanent option in there, and I think personally, Darwin is quite an exciting option. Despite the fact he has had a poor season at Liverpool and has had some high-profile misses, we've seen players go to Italy and really reinvigorate their career. Him being able to play on the left is also a feather in his bow. I'm going to put this in okay. I don't think it'd be outstanding, but if they could get him for the right amount of money, maybe it's an option to buy loan deal or an obligation to buy loan deal, it wouldn't be a total surprise to me to see him produce big things in Italy. Rodrygo to Arsenal has picked up big pace in the last week. Plettenberg saying that they are heavily interested in Mikel Arteta, being asked in press conferences about him. As I've said in recent weeks in my perfect signings for Arsenal, I'm intrigued to see how this would work. Would he play as a left winger? Which would really change the dynamic in my mind, because obviously he's kind of played as a right wing option for Real Madrid. Over 70% of his minutes have come on that right hand side, especially since the emergence of Vinicius. If he plays on the left, I actually almost think it suits him more, being right-footed, being able to come inside. He's only once put up double figures of La Liga goals, for instance, so he's not necessarily a total goal scorer. But I did see a report this week saying the fee could be as low as €80 million. That's like £68 million. For that money, that's elite. The original rumours were 120 million euros, and I thought Arsenal could potentially get better value in the market for that amount of money. But if we're talking 80 million euros in this market for Rodrygo at 24 years old with the experience and the trophies he's coming with, that's actually value. Could he be replaced at Real Madrid by Nico Williams? What is happening here? Everybody just pause, slow down, calm down. Why are Madrid in for Nico Williams? If Xabi is going to come in and he's going to play the back three system with the wing backs, it's going to be a front two of Mbappe and Vinicius, probably with Bellingham in the 10. Where is Nico going to play? If he comes in and plays a back four and it's a front three and Mbappe and Vinicius are options on the left, where is Nico going to play? I get the idea of the Club World Cup coming and, you know, you need options, you need depth. Nico Williams is one of the most exciting young players in Spain. He's put up great creative numbers. He's one of the most elite dribblers in the continent. But where does he play? Real Madrid fans, please help me understand this. Honestly, it'd probably be a good move because, I don't know, maybe I'm just being an idiot and somehow Madrid would find a way to fit him in. I don't get it, man. Not for me. Liam Delap is being linked to Newcastle this week, so we should talk about that because it is a big update in his transfer saga. He's held face-to-face talks with the club. How would he fit there? I think that's the question to be asked. He left Manchester City because he wasn't getting minutes against Haaland. Even with multiple competitions, 65 games a season, he didn't feel like there was a path to being the number 9 in front of Erling Haaland. Newcastle fans, I'm really interested to hear your take on this because I understand Callum Wilson is going to leave the club. Fine. And Delap could be amazing cover for Alexander Isak. But from his perspective, where is the path to being the guy? The main number 9 at Newcastle with Alexander Isak there, who I think is the best number 9 in the Premier League. It's a very similar situation and dynamic to the reason he left Manchester City for me. Now, he may well back himself to be able to play up front alongside Isak, and that is a really interesting solution. Could he play Delap and Isak? Could he shift to a back 3 formation? Could he make something work? I think he probably could. It's Eddie Howe. He's a fantastic coach. But I think the question marks are there as to how he fits into the Newcastle squad and starting 11, because certainly when he leaves Ipswich, he's going to want to be the guy. He's going to want to go to a club where he plays every single game up front. From Newcastle's perspective, this would be a good move. From the players' perspective, it would be a good move. Newcastle are a great club. I just think there are some question marks. What about Jamie Gittens to Newcastle then? I'm not sure about this one either. He's played nearly all of his minutes on the left-hand side at Borussia Dortmund. He's still very young, so maybe he's adaptable enough to play on the left, but that role feels like it's Anthony Gordon's on that left-hand side. Harvey Barnes can offer options on that left-hand side. There's no doubt Gittens will offer something different. Nobody in Europe's top 5 leagues in 2025 have put up more dribbles than him. He's amazing in tight areas. If you stand him up 1v1, he's going to go past you. And it would be nice to see him come back to England in some form. Very exciting to watch on a weekly basis. But the fit as a left winger in this Newcastle system, is it just me that thinks they need a right winger to compete with Jacob Murphy, who has had the season of his life? The fee would not be small either. I think this would be okay. And Newcastle have a way of making things work. Sticking with the tune, let's stick Mark Guehi straight in elite. This would be a ridiculous signing. For me, he is one of the Premier League's best centre-backs. He's a captain. He's still only 24 years old. They tried to sign him for 70, 75 million last summer. It's going to cost a significant amount less this summer because, of course, he's into the final year of his contract. Does he want to see out his contract and just spend 1 year at Palace playing in Europe? Maybe. I still don't think Palace are in a world where they can allow a player like Guehi to leave for free. They have to get some sort of fee for him. If that's 40, 50 million pounds, I still think that's value for Newcastle, who have had so many centre-back issues with injury. Botman's injury record is so spotty. Guehi's perfect there. Finally, we're talking about Rayan Cherki to Manchester United. Rumours continue to develop that they are heavily interested in Cherki for one of those 10 roles alongside Mateusz Cunha. I think the player is hoping for a better club than United. Rightly so. He's unbelievably talented. First time call up to the France squad this week. But yeah, at 22 million euros, it'd be a good move, wouldn't it? It'd be bordering on elite. In fact, it would be elite. If United could get hold of Cherki, it would be elite. Do I think they will get hold of Cherki? No. So there we go. Those were some new transfer rumours we've seen over the past 7 days. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, hit subscribe. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. See you later. Goodbye.